Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This webinar will be recorded and posted later on YouTube for those who are not able to attend today. And again, this is a wonderful opportunity for everybody who's curious about our testing season and what's coming up. To really dive deeper into what to anticipate for the next couple of months here at Orlando Science High Schools. My name is Yulia Borkova. I'm an assistant principal of instruction and assessment here at OSS, and Mr. KB is here with me. He will be running the chat. If you have some questions, we will have several question breaks so Mr. KB can address questions that might be benefiting majority of the participants, and we also will have question and answer slide at the end of this presentation. So here we go. This is our assessment team. Mr. KB, of course, is our principal. I already introduced myself. My name is Ms. Borkova. You will be receiving, or you have been receiving also emails from Ms. Shea or Ms. Manrique. She has assisted us with the rosters and basic communications. First off, we're going to start with our virtual meeting etiquette. If you have any questions as we go through the presentation, go ahead and post them in the chat. If you have a question pertaining specifically to your student, include your email address or email me with all the information in your specific question. Wait for our question break to address the topics that we are covering during the presentation. And just sit back and enjoy all the information. So today we will talk about the ways we communicate, all of our assessment updates. We'll talk about testing policies. We'll talk about state assessments, fast overview, about graduation requirements, school diploma, AP exams, base and PLTW exams. We're going to start with communication channels. We utilize various means of communicating to you and to the students, the upcoming assessments, arrangements, locations, and any additional information needed. As I mentioned in the very beginning, this presentation is recorded and it will be available on YouTube. The link will be provided for you in our upcoming newsletter. Newsletters come out weekly on Fridays. And this is where you can see in our assessment corner, you will see updated calendar. Some of the dates are still not finalized and not announced because some of the curriculum has been updated, but majority of the assessment dates are finalized, and the updated calendar that you will see at the end of this presentation, it also will be posted on that newsletter. Subject area teachers are aware of the upcoming assessments. They are communicating to the students, but if for any reason your student is not sure what they're testing, where they're testing, how long they're testing, all the reminders are posted on Microsoft Teams. Please encourage your student to check those Teams daily, especially if you know your student is potentially going to be tested the next day or within next week. We have a bulletin board actually on the 3rd floor that we update as well. I know students stop by. I've seen them stopping by and looking at that. So there are various ways to find information. My door, Ms. Shea's door, is always open, and I also have received multiple questions from students on Teams that I have been answering. So we have, again, we have open ways to communicate and to answer questions. You have received those 9th and 10th grade families. You have received a phone call reminder with Mr. KB recording the basic information and reminder. We'll also send out email blasts that come out of Orlando Science High School. The testing policies are remaining the same and consistent throughout our testing season. We are not allowing phones, smartwatches, wearable technology of any kind, laptops, tablet computers, Bluetooth devices, MP3 players, iPod cameras, anything that can receive or transmit information in any digital way is prohibited in a testing room. With that said, we strongly encourage students to leave their phones and all digital devices other than Chromebooks if they're taking a digital test, a computer-based test, leave everything in their lockers so they do not run into a situation where they might just forget a pair of earpods in their pocket. If found with such a device in possession during testing, the test is subject to invalidation. And we know all our students work very hard to be successful on the assessments, and we do not want to run into human error of this type. Any device that vibrate or ring during the test, or a student is seen looking at them, the student test will be invalidated. Calculators for most of the computer-based testing in science and in math, calculators are provided within the testing platform. We will be talking specifically about certain assessments that will require additional calculators. So it is specific to the exam the students are taking. Students may not consult textbooks, notes, teachers, other students, or any other resources during the exam or during breaks. So the long tests, some assessments last up to 180 minutes or last up to the end of the day. So the students ask the teacher to go to their locker to retrieve their drink or retrieve their snack. We strongly discourage that. So if the student knows they will need a snack or a drink, they will be allowed to bring those items with them in a testing location, and when the break is provided, the students should not be leaving classroom or testing site and accessing personal belongings in the lockers. Students observed violating test security will be dismissed from the exam. The device may be confiscated, the student's score may be canceled, and no retest may be permitted. So we're going to begin with the state assessments. Currently, high schoolers will be engaged in the following 5 assessments. FAST ELA, English Language Arts, Reading, grades 9 and 10, Best Algebra 1 EOC, Best Geometry EOC, Biology EOC, and US History EOC. We're going to go into detail regarding each test. So this is the quote from Florida Department of Education. According to the Florida statute, all students enrolled in grade 10 are required to participate in grade 10 ELA assessment, regardless of whether they have a passing correspondence score on file. So if a student took PSAT in 9th grade and had a high reading score, they still will have to take 10th grade ELA assessment in 10th grade. These are our testing dates for Orlando Science High School. The district this year provides flex options, and you will see we have very busy testing schedule coming up, so we have to utilize that opportunity so we can test students, as many students as possible on the assigned date. So May 1st is when our 9th and 10th graders will be taking Progress Monitoring 3 for English Language Arts Reading. Now, as you know, the students already took Progress Monitoring 1 in August, Progress Monitoring 2 in December. This Progress Monitoring 3 is the test that requires a passing score for students in order to receive that graduation requirement for 10th graders. Also, on May 1st, should we have any 11th or 12th graders who still need that graduation requirement, who did not pass that test in 10th grade, they will be also scheduled to take FAST ELA on May 1st. What does the test look like? It's a one session that needs to be administered in one day. It's a 120-minute test. The students are not allowed to take more than one test a day. So that's why you will see some of the tests are lined up back to back, day one, day two, day three. We will target the test start time in the morning. And the best practice for us, what we have worked out, if we manage to start, if technology works and everybody arrives on time, if we manage to start or record the start time at 8:15, the students will be able to return to their regular schedule after those 120 minutes. However, should the student need additional time and need to take that test for that particular PM3 ELA, as you see, the district states any student may continue working up until a school day. So what we usually do after 120 minutes, majority of the students are done. So we will pause student tests. We will remove the students who need additional time. We consolidate the rooms. We move the rest of the school to regular schedule, and those students who need additional time continue testing in a separate setting. Any student who is not finished by the end of the session time may continue working. Now, you got to understand that a student cannot pause the test and return to it the next day. So the test must be done by the end of the school day. I do want to mention, and that's a side note, if your child does not feel well in the morning, the day of the test, please communicate to us, or if your child was ill the day before, communicate to us so we do not start that test for your student. And the reason being is because if the student comes to school to test, starts the test, and then gets sick, that test will lock after 24 hours, and we have to submit additional requests and documentation to support the reason. And it's also stressful for a child to show up for a test and not feeling well and not being able to continue with it. We will provide multiple makeup sessions. Our target is always to test 100% of our students. There are special cases, but the window closes for makeups on the 23rd of May. So we will have pretty much the whole May to do makeups. If we need to reschedule, we will reschedule, but please do not send a sick student to school for testing. What will the test look like? The test will have half and half fiction, half informational, and more detail, of course, is already being provided by the teachers to the students. There will be between 36 to 40 items. However, if your student comes home and says, there was a question that I didn't understand, or was the question that was not covered, do not fret, because there are about 5 items that they're placing on this PM3 that are experimental. So they're field testing those items. They just want to see how students respond or react to certain types of questions or certain questions. Now we're moving on to biology and US history, EOC. That date is May 2nd. So after our 9th and 10th graders complete FAST ELA on May 1st, they will be coming back on May 2nd and taking biology or US history. We understand there could be some scheduling conflicts because some of our students might be taking both courses. With that in mind, we will test the students first on May 2nd on US history, and then we will test them on May 3rd on biology ERC. The tests are pretty lengthy. The test allots 160 minutes to the students, and they can continue testing until the end of the day if they need additional time. So biology EOC contains between 49 to 55 items. Again, there will be 8 to 10 items that are experimental. So again, if your student comes home and states that there was vocabulary that they didn't recognize, or there was a question that was asked in a very odd way, do not be alarmed. This could be one of those field questions. US history will contain 50 to 56 items, and it also is possible that there will be additional items that are related to computer adaptive test administration. Now we're moving on to Best Algebra 1 and Geometry. The EOC scheduled for Best Algebra 1 and Geometry is May 9th. Now, May 9th is also the date for our students to take AP exams. We understand that. And at this point, we have to administer AP exam on the date of the exam. So again, we will utilize that makeup window should your student is unable to participate in Algebra 1 or Geometry EOC. Algebra 1 and Geometry test takes about 160 minutes. And again, the students can test up to the end of the school day if they need to do so. It's about 45 to 50 items. And again, they're listing some of the field test items on the test. All the assessments will be scheduled and administered on campus. If your student arrives late, we're looking, if your student arrives after 8 o'clock and the script is already being read or in the process of being read, we will not allow your student into that testing site simply because we do not want any disruption. What we usually do is we hold a spare room for late arrivals, so that teacher will start a little later, but it is really creating an additional disruption for the testing environment, because sometimes the students arrive so late that we cannot even test on that day. So please make sure you keep in mind that there could be traffic, there could be some delays on the way, and bring your student. They're already under a lot of pressure. Bring your student on time so they can find their location, so they can be placed by the test administrator in their seat and comfortably set up. Again, please, please, please ask your child what their testing location is. And if they cannot answer, ask them to open their Chromebook and access their grade level team chat. Most likely, the announcement and notification will be sent to them there. All assessments, all state assessments are computer-based. Now, if you need to learn more or have your student take a practice test at home or look at what the interface of the test will look like, you can go to flfast.org. FAST stands, by the way, for Florida Assessment of Student Thinking. And you will see the link, the icon that says Students and Families, and you will have an opportunity to start a practice test. You also will be able to access your students' scores on that portal after the scores are released. Now, the scores are usually, because the test is computer-based, the scores are released relatively quickly. In this past couple of years, we are anticipating to see the scores somewhere mid-June. My light just went out. Somewhere between mid-June and maybe beginning July. Once the scores are released to the districts, they will be also posted on Florida Statewide Assessment site. The levels are the same basic 5 levels. from below grade level, level 1 and 2, on grade level, level 3, and proficient, level 4 and 5 exemplary. Paper score reports arrive a lot later, so most likely you will be seeing those paper reports in the beginning of the next 24-25 school year. Now, two of the assessments that were mentioned earlier are graduation requirement assessments. So Florida statutes require for standardized high school diploma 2 assessments to be passed at a level 3 or above. That is grade 10 FAST ELA assessment and Best Algebra 1 EOC. Both of those assessments need to be passed in order for a student to receive high school diploma. And now I'm going to pause here and we're going to take a first question break if Mr. KB wants to chime in and answer any of the questions that were coming in.
So we don't have any questions at this time, but if anybody does have any questions about anything, please use the chat function on the bottom of the screen. And then we will either directly respond to your question if it's only relevant to your specific situation, or if it's something that'll benefit the group, we'll answer the question live for the benefit of everybody here. We will have another question break. So at this time, I think because we don't have anything, we can just keep going and then we'll stop again and see if anything is in there next time.
Thank you so much. All right, well, we'll continue going. We're halfway through. All right, so I mentioned graduation requirement. It happens so that a student does not just respond well to certain tests and does much better on a different test. That's why concordance scores exist. What they mean is your student can take an alternative assessment. And if a certain score is achieved at that assessment, it is accepted as a concordance score to replace the not passing score on a state assessment. On the screen, you're seeing right now SAT, ACT, and CLT, the 3 assessments for ELA that are acceptable. ACT is the test that actually the state of Florida pays for all 11th graders. So if a student did not pass ELA during 10th grade assessment the year prior, they will be tested on ACT. SAT is a little bit of a different story. We had SAT school day already. So that's by sign up only. And that's, again, for us, most important is for students to achieve that score. But we also open the sign up for those who need it for their college enrollment. For Algebra 1, we have PSAT, NMSQT, SAT Math, ACT Math, and CLT again. And your student, if your student wants to retake that Algebra 1 EOC that they didn't pass the year prior, they can opt out to taking Geometry EOC instead. And if they pass Geometry EOC, it will be used as a concordance score to replace the not passing score for Algebra 1. CLT is another alternative assessment that at this point we only administering to our seniors who still need to meet that concordance score. But you can actually go on that website, and if you feel like your student would benefit from that test, you can sign up and take that test independently. Just present the official scores to our guidance counselors, to Ms. Bullitt or Mr. Bahar, and communicate your further step to replace those concordance scores. Now, a couple of words on scholar diploma designation. So this is a screenshot taken directly from Florida Department of Education PDF that was released in the beginning of this year. I'm not going to go into every single bullet here, but you see that the student needs to earn a credit in Algebra 2, needs to pass Geometry EOC, pass Biology 1 EOC, earn credit in chemistry or physics, earn credit chemistry or physics, past US history. So a lot of our students automatically might be qualifying for scholar diploma simply because we offer so many rigorous courses and so many exams. However, sometimes a student might not be enrolled in a biology course, and the student might skip and enroll in pre-AP course. We strongly encourage those students to take that biology EOC because even though the scope and sequence might be different, but biology standards are the same, and in fact they're covered more in depth on pre-AP curriculum. So the students can take that biology EOC or any other course that they might have skipped, but they need the EOC for that scholar diploma. Just contact me as soon as possible. And if you know your student will not be on the roster for any of those exams and you want your student to take that assessment, let me know and we add the student to our rosters for testing. Now we're moving on to AP exams. It is a big schedule. It's a 2-week schedule. And like I said earlier, we will definitely prioritize AP exams because they will overlap on May 9th with our algebra and geometry assessment. So this is the schedule for all the exams. Those students who might be overlapping, like seminar and statistics, they will be communicated separately on the plan, the testing plan, and alternative testing that will be provided. So we will make sure every single student is tested. Again, you can see all these dates and all these exams on our assessment calendar that is posted in the newsletter and updated weekly. With AP and College Board, some of the exam requirements are different. It states that the students should bring 2 sharpened number 2 pencils. We will definitely have pencils for the students as well as pens, but some of the things like calculators for particular exams, we will not be able to provide. So the student needs to make sure when they show up for exams with a calculator, those calculators meet the requirements of College Board. Now, keep in mind, and I'm sure that Dr. Van Moss has communicated to his students, but a ruler or straight edge if they're taking AP physics exam. However, protractors will not be allowed. So this is just additional page to show you what calculators will be allowed for specific exams. For pre-calculus, there's a separate link that you can find on apcentral.collegeboard.org. So it's a separate document for AP pre-calculus exam, as well as additional AP statistics course exam updates and information. All right, so what happens once your student takes AP exam? The student will receive a score from a 1 to 5, and these are the approximate college grade equivalents. Please be mindful that different colleges have different requirements and different standards for the AP exams. You want to encourage your student to communicate and research specific college requirements directly, because some students that came to me this year, they have been saying, well, I was not planning to apply for this college when I was in 9th grade, and now I'm in 11th grade, and I wasn't paying attention, and now I know that I need a level 5, and I did not have it. So please make sure every AP exam your student takes, the student sets a goal for this particular levels that the particular college requires. We're going to pause for another question break, and I see we might have some questions there, possibly. Mr. Gaby.
Yes, we do have a couple of questions. One is related to the biology EOC. This is tied to the Scholar Diploma designation. So as Ms. Borkova mentioned, and this can also be found on the FLDOE's website if you do a search for Scholar Diploma designation, because there are some specific requirements. Many of our students, when they take the pre-AP Bio or AP Bio, they wouldn't normally be registered to take the biology EOC, which was one of the surefire ways to satisfy that requirement of the Scholar Diploma designation. So we have our pre-AP Bio and our AP Bio students take the Bio EOC. We generally try to schedule an administration of that exam later in testing season, so it doesn't directly interfere with the courses that they're already enrolled in. But this provides them the opportunity to satisfy that important requirement for the Scholar Diploma designation. So additional information will be shared directly from Ms. Monroe for the pre-AP Bio students and Ms. Stanford for the AP Bio students with a registration link. So I have a couple of other questions about GPA for AP courses. If you have any specific questions about transcripts or GPA, I would recommend reaching out to Ms. Bola directly. AP classes do offer an additional GPA boost. So, it's important to, make sure that you're reaching out to the guidance counselors so that you have an accurate understanding of where you are and they can provide you with that full transcript. If you're looking for past ACT or SAT scores for SAT, you can log into your College Board account. When students start with us in 9th grade, we recommend that they all open the College Board accounts. This will allow them to register for their AP classes, which will allow them to access the resources that they'll need to be successful in those courses. And it'll also allow them to access SAT, PSAT, and PSAT NMSQT scores. So I would say for the SAT scores, just have your student log in directly to their College Board account. For ACT, it's similar. Students can sign up for an ACT account, and they do sign up for one because the one that we administer here is a digital computer-based exam, so they'll have to have an account in order to access that exam on test day. So students should be able to access their scores directly through their website access. I have a couple other questions that are just related to specific individuals, so I'll address those in the chat directly to those individuals. But for right now, I don't have any other questions. So Ms. Borkova, go ahead and continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. KB, and we're going to move right along. All right, so we're moving on to base exam. Base exam is an exam that the students enrolled with Ms. Bright's classes, the biomed classes, they will be taking, and that is the exam that will allow the students to receive credentials of a biotechnician assistant. That assessment is coming up right around the corner on April 11th. It is a pretty complex assessment because it requires students to take two portions, and I will go a little bit more into detail on the next slide. If you have any questions specifically regarding base, contact Ms. Bright. I do want to say that, again, we're working very hard to ensure the secure testing environment. I know Ms. Bright has been assigning a lot of practice tests for the students, so be on the lookout for all that communication. They have been working very hard to pass. The students may retake that exam within I believe 30 days if they do not meet that 80% required score. But again, just to clarify everything pertaining to that, reach out to Ms. Bright. So like I stated, that exam is actually a two-part exam. It will be a paper and pencil exam. We're not opting out for computer-based option. There will be two portions. There will be base knowledge portion and base practical portion. So there will be one room set up where the students will be actually performing a lab. They will be given a task and perform a lab, take their notes, and then they will transfer into knowledge-based portion room where they will actually continue working in their testing booklets to record their findings and answer provided questions. As I stated earlier, upon completion of biotechnology assistant credential exam, each successful candidate will receive a base certificate, a letter for potential employers explaining the benefits of hiring a base credentiated candidate, and digital credential that can be verified online by potential employers. All right, and now to PLTW exams. We have total 4 teachers who provide PLTW courses. And as you see on our calendar, we still do not have the exam for PLTW principals and engineering date finalized. Most likely it will be somewhere at the end of May. And Ms. Dantes is the teacher who will be communicating that to her students. So what will the scores look like? The scores will range from 100 to 600. It will include corresponding achievement descriptor and the level of knowledge within skill clusters on a scale 1 to 6. Test results will qualify students for internships and apprenticeships, earn college credit, and bolster college applications and resume. Approximately 50 items will be given to the students on each test. Estimated average of each test is about 50 minutes. However, this test is untimed, and we're working with the teachers to schedule each class to test. So they have at least 2 class periods, and then they will have additional time should their accommodations require or if they need more time. So you can go to our website my.pltw.org and obtain the test results when the tests are released. I believe they released them within 24 hours. All right, Mr. KB, do we need another question break, or I'm not seeing any questions in the chat?
I think we can continue for now, but I'll keep an eye out.
All right. All right, so now just back to the general reminders. Always check the assessment calendar. Some of the things might change. Some additional conflicts might arise in the schedule. Encourage your students to check Teams messages daily. Do your best to bring your student on time, or encourage your driver student to leave the house on time. And if they need to stop for breakfast or for coffee, so they have that additional time scheduled into their travel. Thank you so much to those who have reached out and stated that you're either on a trip or you're on some family urgent business and not be able to attend the exams. It really helps us a lot to plan the makeups for those exams that your student misses. Continue to do so we know what's coming up, so we do not ship the testing materials back if something comes up and we do not know that your student will be testing at a later time. We strongly encourage that your student rests prior to the test the night before. We have had some instances where the students fell asleep knowing that the tests are long, but the students in the morning cannot keep their heads up and fall asleep, and the teachers ask the students to wake up, go in a bathroom, rinse their face with cool water, and refresh themselves. We do not want student ability to do their best on the exam and show the best possible outcome be affected by a simple not going to bed on time or spending time on their devices too long. So this is what our calendar looks like as of today. All the dates have been updated. We had to shift some things around, but so far everything is scheduled as expected. And again, this Friday when the newsletter comes out, scroll down and look for this colorful calendar. And this is actually the end of the presentation. I want to thank everybody who attended. My email is on the screen right now, as well as Miss Shay's. We are here to answer any question, any possible problem. We will do our best to resolve, and we will do our best to accommodate any students' needs. So if there's anything that comes up that you feel we need to be aware of, please let us know. And we are at our last portion of questions and answers. And if we have any, we can answer them now.
While we're waiting a couple more minutes for questions, I'll just emphasize a couple of important things that you addressed. One, the weekly newsletter is going to be the most useful source for any assessment updates. We'll update our assessment calendar that Ms. Borkova just shared, so you'll be able to see all of the dates that we're going to be administering assessments. And then Microsoft Teams is how we'll communicate directly to students, their testing rooms, so they know where to go on test day. So those are going to be the main two things. Everything else will just be reminders, the phone blasts, the email blasts, things of that nature. If your student's keeping track of their Microsoft Teams messages and you're keeping up with the weekly newsletter, you'll be good. And then one other thing that I just wanted to mention is the Scholar Diploma. It comes up sometimes. Some people ask me what it is. Well, why do you need the Scholar Diploma? What's the benefit of this as opposed to a regular diploma? This is a special designation from the state of Florida. So the state of Florida, in an attempt to recognize students who are high achieving, who have done well in all their state exams and have really pushed themselves to perform across the board in various subjects, math, science. They provide this additional designation, which is a sticker that goes on the diploma, and it's attached to the student's transcript. So it's a special designation that we like to encourage all of our students to earn. And that was something that's promoted by the Florida Department of Education. Yes. Yeah, we are recording this webinar. We're going to post it to our school YouTube page. It'll be up before the end of the week, and then we can also link to it in our weekly newsletter. So yeah, it'll be there'll be a recording.
So I see a question here. Can a student still apply for ACT at school? If your student is 11th grader, your student does not need to apply. Your student just needs to let us know that they want to take the exam, because every 11th grader in Orange County Public Schools will be allowed to take this exam. So they just need to let us know that they need to test. But I know our registration is closed, but at this point, if you need it, we'll test you. We'll accommodate. Mr. Kaby, I'm sorry, I'm overstepping here.
No, that's great. I mean, the registration closed, but it's great that we can still accommodate. So awesome. If anybody still wants to take it, 11th graders, they just need to get in touch with us.
And with particularly accessing the scores for SATs and PSATs, if you're not successful navigating the College Board website, you can always reach out to me. But right now, I do not guarantee answering that question right away for you, but I will do my best to pull those scores. The teachers, some of the teachers also have access to reporting link, so they will be able also to pull those scores for your student. Teacher Gaby, did we answer everything?
We did. We still have a couple minutes left. I see we still have quite a few people in the room, so maybe a couple more questions will still come in. Unless you have any questions, this is the end of the presentation. As I mentioned, we'll hang around for a couple more minutes to see if any more questions come in. As we mentioned, this presentation will be recorded and shared on our school YouTube page, which will also be linked in our newsletter every week until the end of assessment season. So if you miss it this week, we'll have it in there all the way through May with other resources, including our assessment calendar and tips and reminders and all of the things that we covered here in a condensed format. So I believe 8th grade will have their own assessment night. Generally, the Lynx campus also does something similar for their middle school students. I expect that they'll probably announce it pretty soon, or else you can reach out to their assessment coordinator directly, Ms. Abramowitz. But I keep up with their newsletter as well, and they have a lot of useful information about assessments in there as well. So that would be a good place to start, the Lynx newsletter. We'll hang around for 2 more minutes. If you have any questions for Ms. Borkova about the upcoming assessment season, please type them in the chat. If not, you can always email. Maybe you think of something later. So, Ms. Borkova, do you see the question about the AP registration?
Yes, for AP exams, what happens is when a student is scheduled to take any AP course, the teacher generates a course code and invites students to join AP Classroom for that particular subject. AP Classroom is actually located on the College Board platform. So when we pull our testing rosters, those students are automatically who have joined AP Classroom, they automatically generated on our testing rosters. To answer your question, yes, if the student is taking AP course and the teacher has enrolled the students into AP Classroom, for that course, the students will be automatically scheduled to take that exam. And We have actually run reports and double checked all the enrollments from our schedule rosters with College Board. And as of 3 weeks ago, we had 100% accuracy of enrollment versus scheduled AP exam.
All right, one of the attendees would like to know if a student wants to take an AP exam, which they've not done good in earlier years, can they enroll for the test only? Yes, we can provide that option. However, we only receive funding for students that take the exam the first time. So there will be an additional cost. Is that correct? Can we still accommodate that, Ms. Borkova?
That's correct. Well, at this point, actually, we cannot add anybody anymore because our registration has closed on the 15th of March. So if your student wanted to retake, they should have asked us before the 15th of March. Is ACT not a requirement? For Orange County Public School students, 11th graders, it is. For our students, because we give so many additional alternative exams, we do not require, but we do allow 11th graders to test for that exam. If it's for next year, reach back out in the beginning of next year so we can arrange that. And if we have a way to provide a student with add a student to the roster. All right, Mr. KB, it's 5:55. Do you want to wait till 6 or do you want us to go ahead and
Still have 16 people in. I guess we can maybe give it a couple more minutes just to see if we get anybody else.
right?
All right, I think that's about it then. Thank you again to everybody. Oh, one more question.
For ninth grade, will they have Algebra 2 EFC? I know. There is no state EOC for Algebra 2. and our Algebra 2 teachers are not administering ERC exam. There's it's a common final exam that the district provides, that our teachers have not communicated to me anything this year as well as past years, as far as Algebra 2 ERC goes.
So it'll be a teacher-made final exam for Algebra 2, not a state test.
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending tonight. I know it was kind of a rainy, stormy night, so hopefully everybody's home somewhere dry. And as we mentioned throughout the webinar, we will share these resources in our weekly newsletter, and then make sure that you're communicating with your children to check their teams regularly for room assignments and additional testing updates. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care and have a great evening.
Thank you. Good night.